Welcome to Design Much with Andy and Patrick.
It's fun.
Well, hello, Andy.
Hey, Clarice, how you doing?
Welcome to the Design Much podcast, Andy.
Thank you, Patrick.
Last week was Thanksgiving, right?
That's right.
In the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly than Thanksgiving, something else happened. Some mega big thing happened over the weekend. Did you hear about this?
Black Friday?
No, not Black Friday. Other than Thanksgiving, other than Black Friday, something else was released to the public. I assume, I'm really hoping that you participated in this.
I can't remember what this
Big
was.
blockbuster movie came out.
Oh, Frozen 2?
Yeah.
That was released before Thanksgiving week.
Was it before?
Yeah, man. That was
really
like
know.
2 weeks ago.
No.
Yeah.
You're lying. I thought it was last week.
No.
Like Wednesday of last week, I thought.
No, it was before that.
Okay.
Well, let's just keep arguing about it.
No, I promise, man.
It came
It
out
was
the
last
22nd.
Wednesday.
The
Came out
22nd.
ooh, you got it down. What time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What time of day did it come out?
7 o'clock on the 22nd. What do you think?
What do you think? If you can see Eddie's face, his indignant face right now. Idiot. Just like every movie. Did you see it?
I did see it, Patrick.
Yeah? What was your favorite part?
My favorite part? You know, I liked the first Elsa song. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what it's called.
Into the Unknown.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, by the way.
Okay. Really?
I've heard the soundtrack
You know
at least
the soundtrack.
12,000 times, but...
That's my favorite song of the whole thing. That was a great song.
Really?
Yeah.
The Into the Unknown song?
Absolutely.
That song?
My daughters have been singing that stupid tune the whole time. It's been great.
What about the Air Supply song, the Into the Woods?
That song,
Christoph.
okay, I had a problem with that song.
Oh, here we go.
It sounded like a 90s rock ballad.
Yeah.
But it's
supposed to.
But it seemed like they're like kind of playing it off like a joke. But then at the same time, it wasn't a joke. So I wasn't really sure what was going on.
It wasn't enough on the... Like, it wasn't sarcastic enough to be
Yeah.
funny.
But it still was super
yeah.
cheesy.
I didn't see the movie, so I don't know how it's... I've just heard the recordings.
Okay.
And to me, I would kind of agree, though. In the recording, it just seems like it's a cheesy song, but not like... I wouldn't
visuals,
laugh,
the visuals are equally as cheesy, but they seemed like they were taking it seriously. So I could be just viewing it wrong. I didn't get that part. It did not fit with the movie for me.
Yeah, that's a weird balance. Did you like the Olaf? Did you like the Olaf in the movie?
I liked the Olaf.
The Olaf is the best part. I haven't even seen the movie.
He was, I think, even more jokey than last time. And
Yeah?
and I saw like, you know, a movie theater full of children. Every time he was on and doing his antics, they freaked out.
Yeah.
They were laughing like crazy.
Just running around,
Yeah,
pants on fire,
exactly.
just going nuts.
So he was a hit.
He's
for
always
sure.
my favorite. I get rid of the rest of them. Just do an Olaf show.
Is he your favorite?
Yeah.
I think Anna's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a
Anna?
great character.
She's a good character. I mean, I've only seen Frozen 1, so I don't know what she's like in Frozen 2.
Yeah.
I think she's a better character than Elsa, though.
I think she is in both of the movies. She has a way better story arc in the second one, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do her and Kristoff get married?
I'm not going to say
Or,
anything.
like,
I'm not going to be
Hook
part of
up
this,
or something?
Patrick.
Oh.
You should go watch the film and find out yourself.
I think I already know.
Do you?
Yeah, I think I already know exactly what happens. Anyway, well, that's good to know. I was pretty sure you saw that, and I was pretty sure it came out last week. But
Sorry, man.
we could have talked about Frozen 2 the previous podcast.
We could have.
Okay, what's our topic?
That's
What's
all
our
we're
design
talking about
topic of the
today?
day?
What's our design topic?
Design topic of the podcast.
Our design topic, Patrick, of the podcast comes from a listener named Jacob Yates.
Listener called.
I think he's
A listener called Jello. Jacob, what?
I'm doing great. Jacob Yates.
Jacob Yates.
Yes. And
Hi, Jacob Yates.
Jacob wants to know the benefits of various design tracks. So specializing, staying general, management, etc.
Ooh.
So what are the benefits of those different
What are the benefits?
tracks? Yeah.
The benefits of the different tracks, or the benefits of... So he put in specializing, staying generalist. So specializing, generalism, generalist, management, and then etc. I don't know what the etc. track would include, but specializing, generalization, or management. Should we keep this in the realm of our expertise, like in the product design UX world?
Yeah, I think that would be best.
Okay. I don't know what. Let's start with the benefits of specializing first.
Yeah, and I think I guess we can kind of talk about what those specializations could be, like what that actually means. And I think like you could actually specialize, for example, in research.
Yeah.
You could just be a UX researcher, and you just very much specialize in that, and that's all you do. You're not doing wireframes. You're not doing high fidelity design. You're just doing discovery and testing, stuff like that.
I was thinking too, information architecture is a specialization.
Yeah. I would say
now, well, I guess we'll talk about the benefits, but yeah, IA is one of those. Mm-hmm. I feel like UX is a specialty. I know we use UX as in a broad term, but if you look at UX as in people centered around, because at companies you can be like, we have a research department, and then we have like a UX department that kind of does the ideation wireframey, like the higher level experience design. That's kind of if I think of specializing in UX, that's what I would do. They're probably not somebody who does deep UI or visual design.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll hand it off to the UI designer to do that.
And then like a UI graphic designer would be another one, right? As far as like testing, if I'm going through the design process on a high level, you come back around to research at the end there. So like
so I think it's still that researcher doing that.
Those are is there any more? There's got to be some we're missing that you could throw in there. There's probably some offshoots of any of these, but
I also wonder because he has like staying general, he also has management as one track. I also wonder if principal design counts as one as well, and I don't know if that's a specialization or not.
Well, kind of more like a. I want to think in terms of more like a direction.
Okay.
Director.
Okay.
Sorry, I said the wrong word.
More of a director.
Like more of a director mentor type in specialization.
Okay.
Like you have creative directors in agencies and more of a creative environment, right? And they don't necessarily produce as individual contributors a lot of times, but they do direct. They don't necessarily manage though. Yeah,
they're more directing the whole. How do you put this? Like the whole output, right, of the product or the design itself.
And the creative direction and the product direction.
Exactly. Versus the management is managing the people, the team, and making sure they're able to do their jobs.
And one of the ones in management, you see a lot more of these UX managers popping up. I see a lot more of these popping up lately. Roles, like individual roles as UX managers on teams. The other one that I just thought of is, and this one probably doesn't happen too much in the Utah area here, but the design ops, like the design operations role.
Okay,
that would be more of a specialization, or like a systems designer, like a design systems designer.
Oh yeah.
I'd kind of lump those two together, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that a good?
I think those are some specialists.
2, 3,
right?
4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7.
7.
We got 7.
Lots of choices, Patrick. Yeah. So, what are the benefits of specializing in any of these pieces? And I think as a specialist, you can be a broad UX designer, but have like a lot of skill in one of these areas. Or you could just say, I just do this. I just do UX research. That's all I do, and I don't want to be doing anything else, right?
Yeah.
And I think what he means is literally specializing in one of those and just doing one. And that, of course, the benefits there are like your job is very focused. You're going to be you have an opportunity to be really good at this one thing. And so you're looking for roles that are just doing this one thing versus being a designer that's wearing all of these hats.
Yeah.
Right. Which is definitely more typical of a smaller company. And as those designers are expected to do all of these things.
Yeah, I think you have more time to go deeper into the craft of each one of these things as a specialist, and especially from a practical standpoint. So applying the craft to the real world in that area and really diving deep into it. I think in my mind, like you said, I think that's the biggest benefit of being a specialist.
I think a con there would be you are kind of in that box.
Yeah.
And when you're looking for work, it's going to be harder to find just UX research work. Depending on probably where you are. If you're in a place, maybe you're in San Francisco or something, there's probably a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
If you're a place in Utah, there's probably less companies that are looking for just researchers.
I think that's a big difference between the specialized, because I think we've talked about this. I think I've talked with people about this. Specializing versus general, one of the biggest things is the place where you live.
Yeah.
Because I think there's all these little tech hubs, right, popping up all over, and they're all called Silicon something, and it's all dumb, and we hate all those names. But yeah, like if you're in a bigger place with bigger companies, specialization makes more sense at that level. But in Utah, there's like 98% of us in Utah are startups, and 98% of the 98% of startups are probably less than 100 people at their company. That's the entire company. So you're talking about one or two UX designers. There's no chance you're going to specialize at all in any of those places. You're going to have to wear a ton of hats.
Yeah.
So I think it really does depend on your environment a lot that way. But yeah, you're in Seattle, working for I don't know, Amazon. Like you probably have an opportunity to specialize.
Yes.
I think the other benefit of specializing, though, if you specialize, and this may not be so true, I'd have to do a little bit more research, but from like observational, I think salaries are probably a little higher in some of these specializations because of the craft.
Okay.
But again, that would be you're also working at probably larger organizations as well.
Yeah.
So I've heard people talk about this on Twitter and stuff as far as one of the benefits of specializing is that if you don't want to go into management as a designer, specializing is the way to make more money as an individual contributor. But I think that would also require you to move to a location where that exists, where that party's happening. Right?
That makes sense. Yeah, that's really
So
interesting.
that would be one benefit. But in Utah, I don't think it's going to go real well.
Yeah.
Like I think you're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna hire a UX. Like there's people here that are hiring. There's companies here that are hiring UX researchers. But then when you talk to like their directors and their managers who are hiring those people, like it's a little bit more than just user research. Like there's some AI and some UX work in there that they're requiring as well.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, you want to be just a UI graphic designer on product. A lot of times there's gonna be a lot of UX work definitely involved in that around here. So it's like, yeah, I don't think you can totally specialize here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely going to be an issue, I think, if you're trying to go with that track.
Yeah.
Great. So I think that probably covers specializing, right?
Yeah.
Benefits of specializing. So moving on, what are the benefits to staying general?
There is none.
There's no benefits.
There's no benefits to staying general.
Yeah.
There's none, Andy.
You want to speak to that? Why is that, Patrick?
We're all screwed. No, I think there's the benefits to staying general. I think the biggest one is the job market, because I think you open yourself up to more possibilities in jobs and more areas to live and that kind of thing as a generalist.
Yeah.
I think that would apply around the entire world in any tech, in any design firm. I think the more you know about other things, even if it's high level, I think you can demand a better job.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the benefits would be, and this is something because my career, I've always been the general. Like I've always, I haven't just done research. I haven't just done the UX. I've always been, doing that whole range. for my projects. And I think one of the benefits there is you get a really good understanding of what's going on with the entire project. There's not a lot of, playing that game of telephone where the researcher is telling the UI designer what's going on, and the UI designer interprets that and then designs something, and then it goes back to the researcher, and then some of that information might get lost right along the way. So
there's a lot less documentation that way too.
Yeah, so you know from beginning to end what's going on with the project, what's going on with the interface, what's going on with the user, right? And you're able to better communicate that too as a designer and facilitate that.
Yeah, we've along that same lines too. I like that you bring that up because we've talked about this before as far as like decision making. One of the benefits to being a generalist is you get to make the decisions across the entire design process. If you're a specialist. Like you're a specialist in AI, like you maybe you run your thing, you do your test, you say this is how we should do the navigation, and you present the solution, and then it gets handed to a UXer or a UI person, and they destroy it because they got to make their decision, right?
Yeah.
The end product might not be reflective of your work.
Yep.
And I think that can be very difficult as a designer when you want to see your work be fulfilled. You want to see it like, oh yeah, I did that, right? Versus like, I think that can open up, like you make the best decisions and you're doing the best work that you can, but you don't actually control the outcome as much as you can as a generalist. I think a generalist, you can control the outcome a lot more.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great point.
Big con to being a generalist though, is I don't think you ever get real good at any of them.
Yeah, and it kind of goes to your point before, like you don't get to go very deep in the craft of each of those.
Yeah.
Because you are expected to do all of them, you have to stay very top level to get your projects out there, right?
Yeah, and this, I think we've had this debate too before. Everybody has this debate about like agency designers being really good graphic designers and product designers sucking at graphic design and like all that stuff, and why products suck and they visually are horrible and all that stuff. I think a lot of it is just the environment, but I think one major thing is visual design takes a lot of practice. And as a generalist, you don't really get to practice visual design as much as somebody else would.
That's very true.
And so I think like I've been doing this 10 years and I think I'm still a really poor visual designer. And it's hard to get better at it when you're not doing it constantly.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's not like riding a bicycle. It's different than that, right? Like it's not a skill you learn and then you've got it. Whereas I think the other specialties, I think research is a little bit more nuanced, like visual design as well. I think to be a really good researcher, you just have to do it a lot.
Yeah.
But I think AI and more of your traditional UX and like your management side and then your like systems design specialties, I think those are more practice-driven and process-driven crafts rather than in context type stuff. And so I think those are easier to master.
Yeah.
But I think visual design, like it's not 10,000 hours, it's a billion hours. Like to become
it's
a master visual designer,
it's
like
continuous.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like it's so hard to like keep up with new trends and understanding like what actually makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what looks good, what doesn't.
When you don't do it, you take a step back too. You don't retain it either.
Yeah.
Like if you don't do it for a year, you kind of lose it. I feel like it's kind of like photography in a way. Like really good photographers are the ones that constantly do it all the time. If they take a break, then it's like they kind of have to relearn visually how things work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like it also just takes a lot of time. Like when I was doing like more creative work earlier in my career, it like, took me a lot of time to design something.
Yeah.
Like because the creative process is difficult where you're doing all that research and you're doing so many different iterations. That's just like a full-time thing, and that could take a lot. So
yeah, that's why like if you talk to like a junior designer and they're like, I want to be the best visual designer ever, you're like, well, don't work here. Like go work at an agency, go work at some place where you're actually going to apply those skills every minute of every day.
Yeah.
Like the majority of their work is doing that. And so it's like I would move somebody that way, right? But that's an interesting thing though, because when you think about it, if you work at a SaaS company like we do, your product's different and it's bigger and it involves a lot. It's more complex. If you go to an agency, usually the work is more agency. If you go to work in an agency, the work is more client based. It's a little bit smaller. There's lots of complexity to it, but there's more time built into work on visual because you're working with a brand.
Yeah.
And so I think even a generalist at an agency will be a way better visual designer working there 3 years than they would be working at a SaaS company for 3 years.
Yeah, and I'm going to take a wild guess, and I know we're going to probably have to come back to this in a second, but Jacob posed this question to understand what sort of track you want to go on as a designer, right? Like what fulfills you, what interests you the most, and like what you were saying, if you really like being a part of the whole process, you should be a general, right? If you really like the creative side of things and making beautiful visuals, you should probably specialize in something where, you're doing that UI or graphic design, and you could be not really working at SaaS or not really working at like, I don't know, not really working in SaaS, but probably working like what you said for agency work. So you're doing a ton of that. So, this is a really interesting question. So you can kind of understand where you think you want to go, what would be best for you as a designer.
Yeah.
So it might come back to that a little bit more, but I guess the next step I think would be talking about management. So I can't speak too much to this, Patrick, but what are the benefits to you in terms of, going for that management track?
The benefits of management?
Yeah.
Are there benefits to
You
management?
tell me, man.
I think the biggest benefit, this is just me. I've only been a manager for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Like managing people. The biggest benefit to me is the impact is watching your team grow and seeing them become better. That to me has always been the biggest benefit of the job. Was hiring somebody, and then let's say you hired a guy. His name was Shandy. You hired him, and 2.5 years later, he leaves you and goes to another job. But you see his impact being made when he's like. There's the growth of that, right?
Yeah.
Like you see that he's a better designer person in general because of hopefully efforts you've made building a team to support the growth of that person, right?
Okay.
That's hard to explain. The dumb one is you use the garden analogy. It's like where it's like the benefit of being a manager is that you get to watch your plants grow, right?
Okay.
And you get to see them grow, and then eventually they die and wither away. But you enjoyed that experience. And then you just replant new ones and you do it again.
Die and wither away.
I think that's the benefit. I think that's personally, that's the real benefit of management. I know there is monetary benefit depending on where you go in management, but it depends. I wouldn't say management necessarily gives you more ownership, which I think a lot of people think is a benefit of management. I think if you're the type of person who thinks you're going to get more ownership from management, you're probably going to be a manager that nobody wants to work for. Because I think if you're looking at it as the benefit of management is I can design my own team and I can grow it, then you're not. It has nothing to do with ownership at that point. You're letting your plants grow by themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
You're basically facilitating designers to do their job best, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think the other benefit of management that I see is that you get to work with a lot of different people and different personalities, and you get to know people better than you would the other way. Like if you just do individual contribution as a designer versus being a design manager, if you like working with people and you enjoy getting to know them, then I think management has a huge benefit that way.
Okay.
If not, I think if you're more the type of person that just wants to, not be around too many people all the time, then maybe you should stay being an individual contributor, or
maybe you shouldn't be a designer.
or yeah, maybe you should go into something else. Or like I think that's where we could talk about like the director role or like a principal or that kind of role more, because I think that role is more of like the benefit of that role would be you kind of get to mentor and get to know people on the team without dealing with their actual problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this person's girlfriend just broke up with them last night. That's why they're not here. This person's having family trouble. That's why they can't be here all the time. Like, management has to deal with those. And I think the benefit of that is you really get to know these people.
Yeah.
But the con to that is that you have to continue to manage you still have to continue to push for business goals in spite of what's happening. And the benefit of the director, I think that way, like more of a creative director or principal role, would be that you still get to know people. Like if you like that, if you enjoy that, you still get to know them, but you don't have to necessarily deal with their personal lives.
Yeah.
Or them demanding money all the time or anything like that. So,
yeah, you're more like you're guiding them in design, right?
Yeah.
You're dealing with their design problems
Yeah.
and helping them grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I think management has that too, but I think it's just a different perspective. You still have to. There's more baggage with management that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
The other thing with management that I think that depending on how you look at it, can be a pro or a con, is you get to work with other departments more than you would as an individual contributor. And I've actually enjoyed that, even though I'm not good at it, but I've actually enjoyed working with other department heads and things like that to like learn how they do stuff and like how do I communicate with them and what are they in charge of and what do they work on and what does their team do and how does my team interact with their team. And you get to see more of the business side of it as a manager, and I think that can be a big benefit if you're a designer who's more interested in the business side of things. I would probably encourage you to go more that way than the individual contributor role.
Okay.
Even though I know, your spools and all these people are out there touting like, we got to know business to be a designer. I don't think you do.
Well, I mean, I think you're usually paired
I think if you want
to
focus, you should go into more management where you can actually apply those skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Great. And so what would you say for a designer that is, loving their job in terms of what they do? Maybe it's a general designer, and they're trying to consider if they want to go from, doing their design job where they're fulfilled, being able to go and do that design process to work with others and, create solutions for their users. What is their next step in terms of do they want to go the principal route or the management route? Because as a manager, you're not really doing that sort of design anymore, right? Like you're not really doing
not as much. Depending on the situation, you might be like in a weird player coach thing where you're still contributing, and that can be difficult in and of itself, especially if the team is large.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the big thing for me is, do they enjoy working with people?
Okay.
And I know that sounds weird, but like, because as a designer, like you should enjoy working with people, but you don't. That's why you're a designer, because you want to use your computer to design things. You don't want to for people, sure.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy it, like let's just say, if you enjoy coming to work and talking to other human beings at work, like you might want to go into more of the management role. But if you're the type of designer that wants to come to work and put my headphones on and get in a creative zone, then you're probably more likely to be a better principal designer, I would imagine.
Okay.
Like depending, and there's nothing wrong with either one of those.
Yeah, of course.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that wants to control people or own human beings, you should just go home. Don't worry about it.
Don't do any of these.
Just go home and
put in your 2 weeks.
Reevaluate your life, because I think you're wrong. And if you're a person that's like a ladder climber type of person, please don't be a manager. We've had too many of those people become managers. Like, figure out a better way to ladder climb. Go somewhere else. Find another company that you can go into more specialization and stuff, because Nobody needs people like that being their manager,
Yeah.
throwing people under the bus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So-
definitely go about these tracks doing it the right way, right?
Yeah.
Don't just see management as dollar signs and power.
Yeah. Please don't. I see management more as what I've learned in management that I think applies better, and I've seen more success with people is when you're their like servant. I know you hear like the servant leadership type thing. I think that's what it is, but I would say get rid of the leadership part. Like just be the servant. Just like try to help them be better.
Yeah.
And don't worry so much about all the other crap, I don't know.
No, I think
That's pro tip right there.
I think that makes
also,
sense.
don't read management books. They're all full of shit.
Really, I was waiting for your management book to
my
come out,
management.
though.
Okay, can we do a sneak peek of my management
Yeah,
book?
let's do it.
It's 327 pages. I'm finishing it up. Maybe tonight. I might finish it up tonight, Andy. It's going to be called The Greatest Management Book of All Time.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
So
going to be
it's-
like Somehow I Manage.
No, it's The Greatest Management Book of All Time. And it will just have this. It'll start out, the first sentence on the first page will just simply say, treat people like human beings. And then the rest of the 326 pages will just be the rearranging of that sentence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then eventually, once you get to the end of the book, you'll realize that you're working with people and not employees.
Yeah.
And then you'll be a good manager.
There you go. 327 pages of that.
Yep.
I'm excited.
And you don't have to read the whole thing. Just when you get to a point where you understand it clearly.
You don't have to read any of it. Just pay Patrick for it and put it on your shelf next to your
Yeah.
other design books,
Yeah.
and you'll look awesome.
Did we wrap this one up?
I think
that's
so.
pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, man. What are you going to do now?
What
What are you doing this evening? What
am I doing this
What are you?
evening? What?
You're going to leave here. What's going to happen
Before I leave here, Patrick,
before you leave?
I'm gonna tell our audience. We're gonna wrap this episode up
Yeah.
first, and tell them go to iTunes and give us a good rating.
Oh yeah, we forget to do this all
We-
the time.
we never do this.
I forget to do this all the time.
And also send us your topics.
Yeah.
Send us some sweet, juicy topics at
Sweet and juicy.
topics@designmuch.org. Org.
Or ours. We bought both domains, so
Org.
we'll redirect. Don't worry about it.
This is why you usually do this.
Or hashtag us on any social media platform,
Yeah,
unless it's TikTok. We're not on TikTok, are we?
I'm not on TikTok.
I don't even know. I don't know what any of the things are anymore. Yeah, hashtag design much topics
Yeah.
with an S or a Z. It's up to you. And then send us your topics, or just send them directly to us somehow, like LinkedIn, Facebook. Andy's on Facebook. Whatever. Like, send us some topics. Pigeon. You could send them pigeon if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Raven, crow, whatever.
I don't accept crows, but yeah.
You don't accept crows?
I'm fine with
You're more of a
ravens.
raven guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
crows are bad luck.
Yeah, I think they're the same bird, Andy, but that's another topic for a different day. So we need more topics. We just dipped under 400, so we like to stay over 400 topics on our spreadsheet, or I mean our machine. And we just dipped under. We just went to 399, right?
Yeah.
So we want to get that back up.
Ravens are not the same as crows, dude. I just Googled it. They're not the same. There's a YouTube video called
Did they?
Ravens versus Crows. They're different.
No,
How to tell the difference between a raven and a crow?
I don't believe you. I don't believe your internet.
They have two different names.
Ravens.
They're
Here's
both
what I'm
black
going to search.
birds.
Ravens aren't different than crows. Because I guarantee you, I can find another. I can find for every 10 YouTube videos you can find that say they're different. I can find 10 more that say they're the same. And just as like when you remember when you're trying to do that, the Earth is round bullshit on me.
I still haven't won
And
that
I was
argument yet.
like, nope. Here's 100 YouTube videos of proof that the Earth is straight up flat like a record, and is floating through space on the back of a turtle. Ravens aren't different than crows. How to tell a raven from a crow? There's no difference. This article just goes, ha ha, there's no difference. No, I'm just kidding.
You mean the thing that you just inputted into Wikipedia?
Yeah. Blackbirds may belong to the same family and look similar in some ways, but several distinct traits. If they were distinct, we would be able to know. That's a bad choice of words. It should say, but several traits help set them apart. Because if they were distinct, one of them had yellow feathers or something, right?
Sure.
This is like the crocodile versus the alligator. And the alligator has more of a round snout on the front. The crocodile has a sharper snout, if I remember this correctly.
I think it might be the opposite.
And crocodiles have zipper teeth because their teeth overlap each other and don't go into their mouths. Whereas alligators, they can hide all their teeth. Same with crows. Crows have zipper teeth.
Yes.
And ravens don't have zipper teeth. No, of course they're different.
Yeah, they have two different names. They're totally different, Patrick.
I know they're different. I was just trying to stir up the pot.
Blackbirds don't all look the same.
I was just trying to get our audience all riled up about stuff. So I wanted to say something really controversial.
Yeah. We're going to get so much hate mail for this one.
Yeah, so Twitter would blow up.
Oh,
like
man.
Design Twitter would be talking about ravens and crows all day tomorrow. Okay. Oh, you can buy a t-shirt at threadless.com/designmuch.
I don't think that's it. Let's look and see, Patrick. We're so good at
This
this.
is a good guess, though. Like if you Googled that, it would probably show up, right? Threadless design much.
Oh, man.
We're put together, man.
We know what's going on.
It's Threadless. I think Threadless is
It's
down or something.
designmuch.threadless.com.
Oh, it's a subdomain, not a slash.
Yes, sir.
Designmuch.threadless.com. Go grab a t-shirt.
They're black.
They're black like a crow.
And like a raven.
They're not like a raven.
Yes, they are.
The t-shirt's way different than a raven.
I guess so.
Would you rather be a raven or a crow?
I would rather be a raven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raven does seem like scarier somehow.
Really?
Yeah. Or like more... I'm trying to think of the word. Like crows seem like the type of bird... Are crows the ones that are like out in the parking lot trying to steal your bread at like Yellowstone?
Crows are the ones that
Versus,
show up when everything dies.
No, that's a vulture.
Vultures show up, but crows do too.
Do crows show up for death?
I think so.
Yeah.
You always hear their squawk.
But ravens seem scarier than crows.
Raven that's what's in Edgar Allan Poe's.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah. That's why they're cooler than crows.
I quote the raven.
Yeah.
All right, Andy. Let's tie this one off. Bye, Andy.
See ya, Patrick.
What?